Hi everyone, it's Liam here from 8 in the Races. So the handicap marks have come out for the Grand National, and I've been through them. There's, generally they're about what they're given the mark that they currently have. It's only really a few Irish and occasionally a horse maybe who's got some national form that gets a few pound more. I think very often it's overdone this day as or we find out all the handicap marks are delighted with, for example, Rambler, delighted with his handicap mark of 10 stone 5. He's running off the handicap mark that he has. So that's the weight he was always going to get. So I never totally understand the whole deal behind this, but at least we do get to know from the trainer. We can read a little bit more into whether this is the plan to run in the National. That's more of what this day is about for me, rather than the actual handicap marks. So we'll start off with I'm going to do 4 that I like for the National. I think they range between 14s and 66 to 1. So the first one is a very obvious one, Rambler. I highlighted in a video way back here. When was this posted? March the 22nd, right at the beginning of my video. I start talking about Rambler for the Grand National. He'd just won the Ultima Chase, and I said, he's a perfect type for the Grand National. I suggested running in the Beecher Chase and then potentially winning that, and then not running again until the Cheltenham Festival. Didn't need to until the Grand National. Didn't need to run and potentially win off their handicap mark, having hopefully won a Beecher Chase. They didn't go for the Beecher Chase. They went to Carlisle for, I think that was an intermediate chase, finished 5th, and then finished a good 4th in the Coral Trophy, Ladbroke Trophy. It's called the Ladbroke Trophy now, isn't it? The Hennessy. Just loading the race. It's a little bit slow. Here it is. Finished 4th in the Coral Gold Cup. Never get the names right. Staying on quite strongly again. Clearly wants a trip, and I thought it was a really good run. And they're going to go to the National. Delighted with that. They have got Racing TV have got some quotes from different trainers, and he only needs a couple of horses to come out, so he'll probably get a run, so that's super. We haven't run him since the Gold Cup, as we thought he would get in this race off a nice mark. He looks a real ideal type, really like Rambler, and thinks he would definitely be, or should definitely be, on anyone's shortlist, really. Really like Rambler. Second horse I want to talk about is the winner of that Coral Trophy. What was it called? The Coral Gold Cup. Lemilos. Only been with Dan for a couple of runs now. He won at Bangor, and then he won at Newbury. Very well supported for both races, suggesting that they thought he was well ahead of his mark. And I think the race at Newbury was a very good race. Remasters has obviously come out and won since. Jericho Rock is very consistent. As you know, I like Rambler. A win for Ansam at the weekend, would frank that form even more. However, we don't want Ansam to win. We're on a different horse at Kempton. But I think this race will work out well anyway. Bustleton is one to keep an eye on for our future handicap as well. And reading the Dan Skelton comments, or Tom Messenger's comments about Lemilos and Ashtown Lad, they're definitely more keen on Lemilos. He's got a lovely profile and exciting that he's guaranteed a run. He's a proven stayer. He's one we're really excited about. I think he can go very close. I think the fact he hasn't run since winning that race in November, they thought, well, we really do have a horse ahead of his mark. Let's wait for the Grand National. They said he's a proven stayer. Is he? He'll definitely go run a big race, I'm sure, as long as he jumps those fences. The third horse made my horses to follow last season with the Grand National in mind, and that was Farclas, who was finishing 5th as a 7-year-old in the Grand National. I thought it was a good run. The race I thought was quite strong. Any second now did frank the form by running another big race. unfortunately suffered a setback last year, which meant he didn't get to the Grand National. He does this year, and they've said something similar. The plan was to go there again last year, but he got a little setback. He has a lovely weight on his back, and all being well, he will go back there this year. With that in mind, I think he went off 14-1 for an Irish national, and then disappointed last time when pulling up. But I think getting him dropped just a couple of pounds will be ideal, and that will certainly help his chances come Grand National Day. I think he'll run a really big race. He's got the experience over the fences now, and I think that will be very key for this now. I think he's 9 now, isn't he? And the final horse that I want to talk about is in my horses to follow. I thought with the cross country, with the national in mind, I think he'll win the cross country first and then turn up to the national a bit fresher, because he won't have taken on Tiger Roll. Interestingly, in the last few days, Gordon Elliott has suggested that Galvin might run in both the cross country and the Grand National. If Galvin turns up in that cross country race, he could be a danger to Delta Work for sure. And I just wonder whether he might push Delta Work a bit too hard in the cross country, potentially ruining both their chances in the Grand National by having a race at Cheltenham instead of a gentle hack round, which Delta Work could do if Galvin wasn't in that cross country race. He would win it quite comfortably by doing very little. I still like Delta Work. He's obviously made my horses to follow with the Grand National in mind. They're very happy with him. He got a little bit far back early on and had lots to do. They made their effort to get closer and then faded late on. Obviously they know they can jump the fences, so Delta Work would be my 4th selection for the Grand National. So just a quick recap who they were. Correct Rambler, 14s, he's going to go a favourite in my opinion. Noble Yates for me has got too much weight. Delta Work at 16s you can get 25, so 25-1 about Delta Work, or yeah, you can get 20s in a lot of places. Lemilos at 25s, probably 20s would be the price that we would claim there. And Farclas, who was right down here at 60-61. I think that's a great price for a horse who has experience, finished 5th on his only run here. He reminds me the sort of like Black Lion, fully expecting to run a really big race again. So they are my 4 for the Grand National after the weights have been announced. Correct Rambler, Lemilos, Farclas and Delta Work.